Greetings everyone, and I hope the action figure gods are smiling on you wherever you are. And welcome back to the channel for another NECA 1/12 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking an up-close look at the leader of the Cenobites, Pinhead himself, as played by Doug Bradley in the Clive Barker written and directed seminal horror classic that is Hellraiser. The review will take the usual format. We'll have a quick look at the box, then it'll be down onto the table for a look at all the accessories. Then it'll be out with Captain Elliot Spencer himself for an up-close look, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. So shout out some backgrounds. Firstly, a massive thank you to everyone who's subscribed and supported the channel. Big love to each and every one of you. And to those of you watching the channel but not subscribing, and I know there's a lot of you out there, come on, get off the fence of indecision and join us in the greener grass that is Go Figure. It's cost and pain-free, and you'll be helping us to keep doing what we're doing here, so go on, mash that bell notification and subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. So, background. Regulars to the channel will know I'm a huge horror fan and a huge NECA fan. What you might not know is I am a huge Hellraiser fan as well. Well, at least the first two movies anyway. So this figure was a bit of a no-brainer for me. The original film tells the tale of the Cenobites, extra-dimensional beings brought into this world by the mythical puzzle box to bring sadomasochistic pleasures to those who've summoned them. There's been 11 movies in total in this franchise, but honestly, I can only really recommend the first two. It's a downward curve on this one. Hopefully we may see a reboot. I know we had one recently, a few years ago, but yeah, first two movies are the best in my opinion, and if you haven't seen them, please seek them out. We have seen numerous companies take on this character in loads of different scales with varying degrees of success. In the 6-scale world, 3-0 did a version that looks like a Pinhead cosplayer, and it looks like Y Studios are going to be cloning that one pretty soon. God help us all. McFarlane did a great line, but these are rarer than rocking horse excrement and silly expensive, as is Sideshow's quarter-scale statue from Hellraiser 3. So I settled for the quarter-scale NECA figure, the 12-scale NECA figure, and the Mezco 1/6 scale figure, all of which are going to be coming up for review on the channel in the not-too-distant future. But that's enough of my Cenobite ramblings. We have sights to show you, so let's take a look at this box. Let's stop it from spinning. It's the usual story that we see with NECA, the usual high quality of presentation. It's that sort of book opening, Velcro fastening front. On the front here, you've got an artist rendition of Pinhead himself and the puzzle box caught between two chains. I mean, the art is Osborne here. Now, Osborne, I do know, has done a lot of artwork for a lot of NECA figures, and I think his artwork is fantastic. It really is. I've seen it on Evil Dead figures, on Halloween figures, and it's really, really nicely done. Yeah, as I say, this stylized image of Pinhead with electricity coming off him. Above him there, in the top left-hand corner, it says demon to some, angel to others. Obviously, you've got Hellraiser at the bottom here. He'll tear your soul apart. Ultimate Pinhead. Now, I know there's been a lot of Ultimate Pinheads and reissues, and I think you can actually tell the date, the time, the date of release by this number on the bottom here. It says 20 on here, so I'm assuming this is a 2020 release, but yeah, I am no expert on dating NECA figures, but yeah, nice artwork on the front there. He'll tear your soul apart, Ultimate Pinhead at the bottom. On the left-hand side, just says Hellraiser and NECA Real Toys at the bottom. On the left-hand side, right-hand side, I'm getting my right and left mixed up here. On the right-hand side, Hellraiser again, NECA Real Toys. Bottom there, usual credits, warnings, and barcodes and bits and pieces, and Osborne's name again there, the artist from the front, and some instructions on how to remove the head, and lots of different warnings. Don't piss this figure off, or you might find your soul in two pieces. On the top, Hellraiser, NECA, warning, and round the back, it's the usual story of, and I'll try and get these into shot because they are really nice. The photography on the back of NECA figure boxes is really, really good, and you've got a assortment here of nicely shot pictures of the figure itself, Hellraiser once again, and a little sort of brief rounding up of the first movie. So there it is. That's the box. Very nice. As I mentioned, it's that gatefold thing going on with a Velcro fastening. You open it up. Obviously, figure under a clear plastic cover there, and on the left-hand side, yet another really, really nice photo of the figure itself with these chains and holding the puzzle box. So yeah, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed seals are still intact on this boy. It's never been opened. So what we'll do, I've had this for a good 3 or 4 years. So what we'll do is we'll crack those seals, as we always do, and dive down onto the table and have a look at all the accessories that come with your Pinhead. Okay, so seals broken, box unopened, accessories out, and let's take a look at everything that comes with your Pinhead figure. Let's start with the hands, as we always do. There's a pair on the figure itself already. You get another 2 pairs here, so that's 3 pairs in total of 6 hands. Let's have a look at what we're dealing with here. These are obviously very small because they're 1/12 scale, so I'll try and get the camera to focus on these. Sculpt looks pretty good to me. You've got some bone work and vein work in the back of the hands there. There's creasing in the palms. You've got this nice sort of blood wash on the end of the fingers itself. You've even got fingernails on there. And you've also got these, I want to call them gloves, but they're not. They're more sort of, if the camera will focus on these leather wraps. Well, I say leather. His suit was more of a should we say a PVC perhaps, maybe, or a highly polished leather. Not 100% certain. I need to check on that actually. I always assumed it was a sort of a PVC material, but yeah, the sculpting is really nice. There's creases in there. The paint applications are on point to give it that sort of shiny material look. And yeah, just overall very, very well done on the sort of the same level of sculpt and paint applications we've come to expect from NECA. Let's grab another one at random. Yeah, we've got gripping hands here for the tools and the knives and so on. Yeah, these are the same level, the same high standard that we've come to expect from NECA, and just a wide variety of them. Open palm, gripping hands and so on. So yeah, off to a good start. Those hands are very good indeed. So I'll put those to one side. We'll take a look at the tools stroke weapons next. Before we do that though, it's probably worth mentioning as well, as with all NECA figures, the inside of the box has this card backdrop, and I'll try and get this into shot. Very nicely done. If you're wanting to use it for your display or for photography purposes, you've got some chains on there, and there's what looks like blood and maybe a few odd lumps of flesh on there, but yeah, great for photography and for backdrops, as I said before. So yeah, and it's the usual story. We'll get that out of shot and continue with the accessories. So we'll start with this knife. Now, this knife is the longer of the two. This one is it's an odd shaped knife. This one, it's got this hook at the end and these serrations on there. They all attach to the belt on the figure itself by this metal hook. Nice to see metal used for the hooks here, as plastic would just probably not. It would be so thin it would probably snap when you try and attach these knives. So good to see NECA have gone the metal route there. Not 100% certain that this handle is screen accurate. I think, if memory serves me right, it was a wooden handle, but I'll let that one go. I'll check that between takes. The sculpt is really nice and screen accurate. The paint applications are good. We've got sort of scratch effects on the blade itself with some blood spatter, but not overly done blood spatter. And yeah, just nicely sculpted and relatively screen accurate. As I say, we'll check that handle situation before the next shot. So, right, the next knife, let's take a look at this one. This is the sort of the long, thin knife. Once again, same story here. You've got the metal hook at the end here. Nice level of paint application to give it that metallic look, and it's just the scratches on here as well that really give it that extra sense of realism. If the camera's catching that, there are scratches on the blade and on the handle. So yeah, and that same blood effect on there. And finally, the saw. Once again, exactly the same story here. Same level of sculpt, same level of paint applications. Bit of blood spatter on there, and the metal hook again. So yeah, that's all the stuff that goes on his belt. Let's take a look at the puzzle boxes. It comes with 2, all one piece of sculpted plastic. Trying to get the camera to focus on these is going to be a bit difficult, but what you're looking at here is a sort of a brassy gold wash on the outside, and it looks like the actual details of the box itself I don't know whether they've been stenciled on or whether they're not stickers. It looks like it might have been printed on. Yeah, I think that's been printed on because there are some imperfections in the plastic there. Yeah, but a really nice 1/12 scale representation of the lament configuration there. So yeah, that's puzzle box number 1. Let's take a look at puzzle box number 2, the Le Marchand configuration here. Nice that they've included 2 and a different configuration as well. But once again, all one piece of sculpted plastic, same level of paint applications, and that printing on there as well to give it that depth and that extra sense of realism. So yeah, 2 configurations of your puzzle box. This figure comes with 2 head sculpts. We'll take a look at the other head sculpt when we bring the figure out itself, but I thought we'd take a look at this one. There are 2 iterations here. One is mouth closed, one is mouth open. One slightly angrier than the other, and we'll try and get this into shot and get the camera to focus. Yeah, now, I'm really impressed, as always, with the level of detail that NECA manages to pack in, and the screen accuracy as well. Actually, what I'll do at this point is, if I can find it, I will bring in a shot of the actual from the film itself. Now, the light's catching that's a bit. Now, in the movie, depending on the light that was sort of shone on to the actor himself, and obviously they used a lot of subdued lighting to create the atmosphere. The colour of his head could alter. It may look more flesh-like in certain shots, but overall, this blue hue that he's got, I think, is screen accurate, as you can see there. Probably worth mentioning at this point as well, the only thing that really isn't accurate here is these nails, but the pins in the head, so to speak. But we'll come to that shortly. So yeah, screen accuracy is there. The colour's on point. The sculpt is really, really good. I mean, I'll try and get this even closer in and hope the camera will focus. The eyes are really nicely painted, that black gloss colour. The teeth, exceptionally well sculpted, with some nice paint applications in there. And there's that, as I say, that sort of blue hue to it. Those creases are sculpted into the head where the pins go in, and even down to the back of the head here, where you've got those hooked stretch marks on the flesh. They've been nicely painted and nicely sculpted in, and overall I think that is an absolutely cracking head sculpt for this scale. I really do. Pretty much 100% on point, bar the elephant in the room, and I think this is where they've NECA have taken a bit of artistic license, is with these pins. Now, had they gone full 6 scale with these pins, and you can see some of these are bent already, this is straight out of the box, I think when you're swapping the heads out, it would have been damn near impossible to swap the heads out without bending or breaking the pins, had they done them completely to scale. So I think they've taken a bit of artistic license, slightly increased the scale somewhat, and sort of the tensile strength, shall we say, of the plastic, so that when you're swapping the head out, you're not going to damage it. I don't think it throws this head sculpt off. I don't. It's the same on the alternate head sculpt. I don't think it throws it off at all. I think it's a good solution, if not 100% screen accurate. So yeah, there you have the head sculpt. So that's all the accessories that come with Pinhead. So without further ado, let's bring out the master Cenobite himself, get him onto the turntable, and have an up-close personal look at him. Okay, so here he is. It's Pinhead himself, straight out of the box, straight onto the turntable, and first impressions. Well, actually, before we get to first impressions, you might be wondering why he's in such an unusual stance. I wanted to see how this figure would stand up, literally, on its own, without a stand. And the answer to that is, the short answer is, not very well, unfortunately, but we'll get to the reasons behind that. But yeah, first impressions are very, very good indeed. NECA, once again, deliver the goods. The screen accuracy looks on point to me. The paint applications look very good. We've already talked about that head sculpt. Just overall, it looks completely on point to me. But we'll stop him from spinning and have a close-up look like we always do. Let's get this guy off the turntable and into camera, and we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Now, we'll start with the reasons behind the unusual stance without a stand, and that's down to these feet and his centre of gravity. The feet themselves, I'll try and get these into shot, they're really, really nicely sculpted and painted. They've got that high gloss wet look paint, which really captures that screen accuracy. And the sculpting on the legs goes all the way up to the top underneath this skirt solution, shall we say. And you've got You've got some really nice paint applications and striations on there. There's dry brushing on there to give almost a metallic feel to this shin guard section. There's almost a padding on the knees there, and you've got a double jointed knee. These knees are very, very stiff. This is a brand new figure, literally out of the box. This one doesn't want to move at all. I would suggest hot water or a hairdryer on this. NECA figures are notorious for straight out of the box having incredibly stiff joints, so to avoid risk of any breaks there, I would suggest, as I say, a hairdryer on there. That one doesn't want to move at all, so I'll have to get a hairdryer to it. This one does. Yeah, and you've got almost a 90-degree angle on that knee, which is nice to see. But yeah, the reason these feet themselves are pegged straight into the bottom of the legs, and there's virtually no movement at all. And if I get him sideways on, you might be able to see this. So when he stands, those feet, as you can see, don't sit flush to the surface. They're slightly at an angle, which causes him to fall. So yeah, I'd recommend a stand with this one. But despite that, the feet themselves, and as you can see, there's a joint there, so there should be some forward movement, but there's very little give here, and I don't want to risk breaking it. But yeah, those paint applications and level of sculpt continue under the skirt, as we mentioned. The skirt itself, let's take a look at this now. This is done really, really well. It's a sort of a thin nylon material with a slight pattern in there. From a distance, looks completely black, but when you get up close, there's a translucency to it, and that pattern is quite visible, which I believe is screen accurate. I've had a look, and it's difficult to tell in shots from the film itself whether that pattern is how pronounced that pattern is, but there is a slight pattern there. But overall, the effect is really good. The length is correct. And the great thing about this is the fact that NECA, for me anyways, NECA have gone for a material skirt rather than just doing all one piece of sculpted plastic. And also, as an added bonus, they've actually put in wires. Now, the wires extend all the way from the waist area there, down both sides, the full length of the skirt, and then round the bottom. And they are a substantial wire. It's not a flimsy wire, so you can really go to town here on your posing. You can sort of have it up to one side, you can have it fully billowing out. Really, it's entirely up to you. But I think it's great that NECA have done that. So let's move up to the upper body itself. Now, you've got the ball joints at the hip there. Not a vast amount of lateral movement, but there's some forward and back movement, so you can move those legs around. The midriff itself, the abdomen section, is this sort of it's got this ribbed high gloss effect. Once again, completely screen accurate. You've got that wound in the navel there, which has been really nicely sculpted and painted with some red blood application on there, which the cord goes through, which he hangs his knives and other weapons from. That cord, it just feels like a coated piece of string that they put through there. But we'll attach the weapons for the showcase section, so that's nicely done. Let's check the articulation at the chest area. There's just some there. There's not a vast amount. You can get some sort of lateral movement and not much forward and back, but there is some lateral movement there. Not really a figure for dynamic posing, this one. I think probably the most dynamic pose you're going to have is him maybe holding a weapon or clutching the lament configuration. But overall, yeah, very screen accurate. The upper part of the body, the chest area there, has got some silver dry brushing on there to pick out the details, so it's not quite as dark. And it's very difficult to tell as far as screen accuracy goes because the on-screen time he has in the first film, the lighting is so dark that it's difficult to pick out colours. But they put some silver dry brushing on there, which works for me. Those wounds on the chest are really nicely sculpted, where the flesh has been peeled away, and you've got the metal staples picked out. The blood effect there as well is nicely done. Down to the arms. Now the arms themselves, not a vast range of motion in there. Pretty much no lateral motion. There's some forward and back. This doesn't feel like a ball joint to me. It feels like they've just been pegged in. But once again, exercise caution, straight out of the box with the new NECA figure. The arms, I've got there's double joint in there. I tell a lie, double joint in the arms there. So you've got some range of motion there. So you can dip it all. And once again, that second joint there is very, very stiff, but will need some work. But that's not an issue. I'm used to that with NECA figures. And really, yeah, very, very nicely done. That high gloss finish is fantastic. The sculpt is great. You've got some different paint applications on the back here to pick out these slightly almost brown areas within the suit itself. The metal areas that are clipping this sort of spinal section have got a silver paint application to give them that metallic look, and it goes all the way up to the next section here, which hides the hooks which are pulling the flesh back off the head as well. So yeah, overall, very, very nicely done. Screen accuracy looks great there. Paint applications are good. And this is the second of the two head sculpts. Now, I don't know which one I prefer, to be honest with you. I think both of them are absolutely stunning. I do like this neutral one. It's sort of that's the image I have in my mind of Pinhead, is that more neutral look. Although, let's bring the other one in. That is still a fantastic head sculpt as well. So really, to have two head sculpts where you really one isn't preferable over the other is great for me. You might notice that the pins on here are slightly bent on this second head sculpt, because I had to go at swapping the head sculpts out. And this is not the easiest thing in the world to do. It instructs you on the box to actually put your fingers on his ears, and I'll take that one off. Getting the other one on isn't the easiest thing in the world. Because applying pressure at the sides and trying to avoid pushing down on these pins is really, really not the easiest thing in the world, as you can see. And what happens is these pins deform, as they have done there. In fact, I'm not even going to try and push this head sculpt any further down for fear of damaging. This is probably my only complaint here is, but it was always going to be an issue of how do you swap out head sculpts with something so delicate. I'll see if this one will go back on. I think out of the two, this is the slightly easier to get on. Yeah, there you go, you see. I think it's going to be a hot water and hairdryer for that one, but as you can see, the nails and the pins have gone all over the place, but they're relatively easy to put back into place. Yeah, it's just a little bit of futzing. I would say try not to over futz it, because you don't want to put strain and stress on them too much in case they snap off. And I just have noticed one thing, actually. I'll try and get this in shot. On this head sculpt, there is a bit of paint bleed in the cheek area there, silver paint. If the camera's catching that, yeah. Now that is, yeah, it looks like the silver paint from the pins has actually run onto the face. That's the first time I've seen that with a NECA figure. Yeah, a paint imperfection there. Yeah, that's going to be a point down when we come to score this at the end. But overall, still a great head sculpt. So there you have it. That is Pinhead, courtesy of NECA, in 1/12 scale. Final thoughts. I'm going to try and get him to stand again on this turntable without falling, which is not an easy task, but he seems to want to. Let's get him rotating again and see if that doesn't knock him over. So yeah, final thoughts. Once again, it's NECA doing what they do best. The 1/12 scale, absolutely nailed on. Great paint applications, great proportions. The head sculpt's fantastic. Screen accuracy's there. A few minor issues. I mean, I don't normally score NECA figures on the channel, but I've sort of started taking to doing it recently. And a couple of things I'm going to have to score this down on. Swapping out those head sculpts is not the easiest thing in the world. The pin solution, although I completely agree with it, I'm going to have to score it down ever so slightly because of the lack of screen accuracy, even though I see why they've done what they've done with that head. Some of the joints are a little bit ropey, but that will go with age and the aid of a hairdryer. So overall, I'd probably give this a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I'll go with a 9 on this one. So there you have it. That is Doug Bradley, aka Pinhead, from the first Clive Barker Hellraiser movie. So what are your thoughts on this figure? Is it something that you've got in your collection? Do you have a different version of this? What's your take on the film? What's your take on NECA? Just, whatever it might be, pop a comment in the comment section below. I would be fascinated to hear. I suppose before we go over to the showcase as well, a brief rundown of what's coming up on the channel. Obviously, a lot more 1/12 scale stuff from NECA. A whole variety of stuff from Terminator and Predator and Evil Dead, and I could go on. The list is endless. So lots more NECA stuff coming up. In the 1/6 scale world, we have Blitzway's Astro Boy version 2.0. That's on its way to us. The In-Art Batman, looking forward to that one. That's on the horizon as well. SW Toys, a new one. Don't own any SW Toys. It'll be a first in the collection. That's their take on Ethan Hunt, aka Tom Cruise, from the fourth Mission Impossible film, Ghost Protocol. What else? Oh, a raft of stuff coming up in the 1/6 scale world. Quarter scale stuff as well. We've got NECA quarter scale statues. Going to be looking at the Predator stuff. Prime 1 and Blitzways, Paul Atreides statue, that's coming into. The list goes on. Before I send you to sleep, I'll wrap the whole thing up. So yeah, I suppose all it remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon. And from me, from Doug Bradley, it's goodbye. Take care of yourselves. Happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.